Fantastic. All right. 6:03 on Thursday, August 3rd. Yes, August 3rd, 2017. This is William Newing, product owner of Linwood, Washington. Uh, Microshop. It is hot. It is really hot. How are you doing up there, Lauren? It's that wildfire. Oh, there he is.
I don't know where Lauren is, but I can hear you.
Okay, just a minute. I got a headset out.
All right.
I I have a couple of interesting headsets. Sorry about that.
You're gonna use a '90s phone. You're muted, Lauren. And now we can't completely see you. Okay, well, let's get started. I know you'll be able to fix that. You're muted still, Lauren.
I intended to be muted.
All right, gotcha. I see. I just saw your mouth talking. Wasn't sure if you were talking to us or was someone else. Okay, last week, not a whole lot of done for me, but I think the email did go out, and it was unfortunate that Home Depot really let me down. I was very surprised. I thought they were the go-to for home improvement and appliance, but maybe they just want somebody else to take the lead. We're still working on that, by the way. Yeah, it's been a week or so just to try to have them now install just an icebox. They said they would, and I paid for it. Maybe I'll just have to get them refunded. Other than that, as far as Wikispeed, Chris and I, we had a Google Hangouts to go over some of the findings and test out the sites. I'd say he did a majority of the work, if not 80, 90%, 99% of the work. So I'm really gracious for that. He really carried this in terms of that project. The testing of that WordPress test page looks fantastic. If anyone wants to take a look right now on the call, please go to wikispeed.org/test/. We've updated a few things.
/.
Sorry, forward slash. My bad. See what the heat gets to you? I'm actually in the basement of my apartment just to cool off. And of course, the tank top, unfortunately. But I think if I were a lady, then yes, this would be appropriate. But no, it doesn't work that way. I think it doesn't. What else do we work on? Let me get to the Trello. Some of the things that we need to verify at one point, either today or tomorrow, which are some of the terms and conditions for booking. I've attached a piece of document in there to help us figure out if that's something that will work for us. Excuse me. Some of the potential things that we want to look forward to doing are estimating the remaining of the website backlog items. Thank you, Chris. And I finished the text for the Scrum and Hardware Coaching and Team Building. And I think a more larger part that I want to tackle on is looking at how the website layout may be from a user standpoint, and also how better does it flow? Does it really capture all the meaning? I think we're trying to swing back and forth and trying to find a good middle ground between what our previous site was and then what our current site is. There's a lot of artistic vision that's been involved in this current site. Previously, there's a lot of very functional heavy site. And so perhaps if we can combine somewhere in the middle to find that really good balance, then we'll be able to get our message across really well, have a really smooth running UX, and delight the customers. And ideally, getting more feedback from the customers and even people, I think will improve too. There is an idea that I wanted to throw out later regarding some of the bookings. And we could probably use some of the students to help us figure out booking in terms of, well, do you want to go to this shop here or this or a different shop there and see who's available? And so if you want to book, then that could be a test model of how that booking system currently is going. But more about that later on. And that is it for me. Who would like to go next?
I can go next. This is Lauren.
You have the show.
Okay. So, past week, Lauren Salter on Smoky Gabriola, but not quite as smoky as Seattle. And I've got some crosstalk about that later. Anyway, this week I looked at the accounting packages some more, and then I was looking up about just using your your charitable status pending, and I was trying to figure that out, and it said use your tax number. So I don't know if they assign you a new tax. I don't know. I didn't get too far with that because I ran across something else that I sent out to you and Joe about the purpose, about the corporate purpose statement. So it's just a note, and I'll talk in crosstalk a little bit about approaches to that. I tend to think just get something ready, but if they don't, if it passes, I'm not sure. Might be worth checking something out, but I'll talk in crosstalk about that. So basically, I looked at Git some more, and Git Tortoise Git, and so I'm just doing it in a kind of training mode, and I'm kind of gearing up. Well, let me. So that's what I did this week. Coming week, I think if I want to address this this purpose thing. The other thing is I would like to get kind of into training mode, because I taught the boot camp for Scrum, and I have a voucher for taking I think 3 years ago, but I didn't do it. So I want to follow up in that and do some trainings, and I've got some trainings for some other things. Get some certification for some other things, but I'm going to focus on getting certified for a few things. And also personally, I'm looking for business intelligence and teaching work in the next little while. Blocks are my property is a bunch of things I need to do. In the past week actually, so that I can keep working, I cleared all the pine boughs off my gutters and roofs so they won't catch fire if an ember lands on them. It's supposed to be a fire measure. Coming week I have some things to do to keep it safe. Get rid of some low-hanging branches and rake up dry grass. And that's enough for me. I was classifying those as blocks. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Lauren. And yes, some of the blocks I didn't mention were that when Andrew and I were continuing forth on the Speeduino, we noticed that some of the pinouts may or may not functioning on the throttle body. So I think the workaround is that we're going to continue within our Arduino aspect to figure out how we can have a piece of Arduino talk to the pedal position sensor to actually give signals to the throttle body to simulate what we had done before previous year with Jackson Rudd. So we'll continue in that form and see what we get. I think he's really interested in that aspect, and I'm glad we were able to find a workaround. And who would like to go next?
Well, I can probably go next.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
I had a fairly large email that I sent out, but it's far too detailed. I did make a little bit of progress on the Mazda. I have actually mounted one more piece, and I didn't get the picture posted. The Polarises, I did get some progress. I switched parts back and forth between them to try and find the thing that makes it go. That would be working, and I haven't found one yet. I have got more information that I might be able to fix them myself. And I did finally get Ranger number 4 back from work. Next week, I'm going to continue getting Ranger number 4 rinsed off without fault. I have one more controller to test at the lake this weekend. And I will be mechanically taking the Rangers apart and seeing if I can clean up the brakes and get them freed up a little bit, get the cables working a bit more. A little bit of work on the chargers, and basically posting more information so that those people out in the Polaris forums can give me more guidance on what I should be doing. Blocks, I still need to fabricate a bracket for my emergency disconnect on the Mazda, the front of the hood. And I'm still working on limiting how many things I put in my sprint for next week. It still looks pretty darn big to me, but I think I'm making progress. And I forgot to say that Michael Wolfert in Saskatoon Wikispeed. That should be it for me.
Thank you, Michael. Bruce, would you like to go next? I know you and Michael had one of the Mortal Kombat, but I'm glad it didn't falter that way. We want to keep our members.
Well, I think we're okay now. Yeah. It was a relatively light week for me. I was doing the Scrum at Scale class at Scrum Inc. in Boston last week, and that went very well. Got to talk with a number of people. Got to meet Avi in the flesh finally, after having talked to them on the phone a couple of times. And let's see, I did a little more stuff with the geometric finite element analysis, and basically it has beaten me to my knees, but I have located an awful lot of good tutorial stuff on it. So what I'm going to do as part of my Trello story that was in there, one of the tasks was to consolidate that training that you posted. So if we have a new website, I can post the URLs there in the story if that's sufficient for somebody to take that and load it on the page. I don't know if we want to make a separate page or what. However you guys want to do it, self-organized. Let's see. I did a major clean out of my garage over the weekend and pretty much crippled myself for Monday, which was interesting. Not as fun as sadly, but it looks great, and so I'm really psyched about that. Next week, I really want to talk to Joe about the consulting that's being set up for Wikispeed. Definitely interested in doing some of that. And I'd like to pair with Joe at some point. I meant to do that last week, and I missed my chance to talk with him. I just didn't get to it. So I want to try and set up a pairing time with him. And I've been working on a script for a video based on our conversation about how to start a Wikispeed garage. I want to use that tool that I have and build a little script and make kind of a sample video. It may not really be ready for prime time, but at least it'll demo the tool, and maybe it'll be useful for us for other stuff to be able to produce these short videos that are informative and entertaining, I hope, and we can go from there. So that's it for me this week.
Thank you, Bruce. That's amazing. I believe there's going to be more opportunities to pair with Joe, so don't feel too bad about that. I know he's just gotten back probably from the East Coast. I know that he's probably going to fly out again fairly soon, probably to Scrum Inc. So,
okay.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Nice.
And then I believe, Chris, it leaves you. You have the stage.
Groovy. So this is Chris Wallace. I'm the product owner of the Burleson, or the Wikispeed Burleson, Texas, USA microfactory. And actually, I'm going to use my time real quick to continue a previous process improvement reading a statement from the Agile Manifesto, which I think kind of ties in a little bit to what Bruce was just saying. So this one says, the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams, which Wikispeed is definitely made of that. So last week, the first thing I did, I set up the burn down for Trello Power Up. I'm somewhat blocked on that. The free version only allows estimation in hours, not in points. I'm not sure if we can just kind of fudge the numbers and make those hours be points. That's going to be to be determined. It has some additional limitations, but as of right now, that does not seem like the best candidate for having a burn down chart. I also downloaded a burned down Excel spreadsheet. I shared that with William, and then also just maybe half an hour ago, created a card to learn how that worked, and attached that spreadsheet template to the card for anybody else who wants to play around with it. Again, somewhat blocked on it. I started playing with it maybe 20 minutes before the call, and it's a little bigger to learn than the 20 minutes allows. I also had an email conversation with Rob Moorbacher about shipping his interior module to Burleson, Texas. I think we're for the next sprint. So thank you so much, Rob. It's an amazing opportunity. And William had mentioned the new test website, and I think I actually want to maybe pull that up as a demo just real quick so everyone can see it, if that's acceptable. So basically, I installed and configured the first iteration of the new WordPress theme for a one-page Wikispeed consulting layout, and installed a configured pinpoint booking system on that test site. So let me see if I can pull that up quickly.
Chris, let me see if I can screen share. Okay, well, never mind. You're...
No, I hope I got it. Okay, everyone can see this okay? Which I can't see you, so
Yes.
feel free to say yes. Okay, awesome. So this is the idea for the new one-page layout. Currently, there is still a menu across the top. I did not want to break the functionality that already existed. We're going to call that to be determined, what does make it into the final site. But basically, it's the site is going to be geared towards Scrum coaching and team building. I'll just scroll over real quick. There are some things that still need to be done, or I'll say are in progress actually at this moment. It's very simple and concise. It took some design elements from the previous site. And then the other thing I wanted to demo, of course, that we got working last night is when you click the Book Now button. I hope this doesn't take too long and be embarrassing. But there is a calendar that allows for users to book the days they want, and some options, and then put in their basic contact information, and then the billing and shipping information, and agreeing to the terms and conditions. I think that was a very quick rundown, but that's basically the functionality we've been going for, and it looks like we've found the themes and plugins that will get us to where we want to be as quickly as possible, and still have quality in the website, and speed up the loading and everything like that. So, stop sharing. And let's see. So that is what I did last week. For next week, I want to tie up the loose ends on the new website design so that we can go ahead and launch the new website. We will not do it by taking a backup of the test site and creating and uploading it to the new site. It will be a manual conversion, just because of changes that have happened on the production side since we've been doing testing. And then once the new site is launched, we will take a backup of it and make the test site match the new site for future testing. You can schedule the shipping of Rob Moorbacher's interior module to Burleson, Texas. And I also, this really shouldn't be number 4 on my list. This is a mandatory. I need to go to the Burleson Microfactory and catch up on rent and kind of assess what's going on there. It's been at least a couple of months, maybe a little longer since I've been to the shop after wrapping up school and everything. That could take a lot of my time. If I can get through those things and get done a little early, I want to start testing and configuring a new membership plugin to take care of some lingering issues we have with the current plugin. The only block that I really have is that with no burn down chart, it makes it either very difficult, if not impossible, to predict when we're trending to be able to launch a product, whether it be the website or car number 7 or whatever important project we're working on at the time. So hopefully this week we'll be able to get a working solution for that, and we'll be better as a team at predicting when we can actually launch and delight the customer. So that wraps it up for me for the stand-up portion.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Chris. And that wraps up our stand-up, which moves us onto our retrospective. Please do rate yourself from 1 to 10 of how happy you are of what you did last week, and then 1 to 10 again of how happy you believe the team is, and any process improvements you like to share with the team that you think would help us. We're going to try to recount in accordingly fashion of what we had previously. I'm going to give myself a 5. I'm okay. I'm not super happy about what was accomplished and how happy I am, but it's like I made it, I got here, and I did some work, and it's progressing, and I don't like being away from our tribe too long, and so that's why. But I'm glad to be back. For the team, absolutely a 9. I really think there's a 9. There's some processes I think we should probably put in place also, especially when we do have meetings, stand-ups such as this. We should have people with not necessarily a designated product owner and Scrum Master role, but I think we should have backups in place when that happens. That's something we can discuss over a crosstalk. And then from a process improvement, I think we're just going to go ahead and pull the trigger on what the premium version of Trello is and just test that out. Because one of the things that I am currently paying for is Jira, and I could just pause that for the time being. So if it's like $10 a month for Trello, let's just try it. Why not? It's one of the things that I want to reduce scope on, among other things. So something to consider. And I believe, Lauren, you are next.
Okay, so I'm a 6, and the team's a 10. And I agree with so you're basically going to jump in, and this is to the paid as opposed to the non-paid Trello, is that? I'm sorry if I didn't understand it. Yes, yeah, so that sounds like a really good idea. Yeah, so like standardize and jump right in. So I'm going to second that, and that's it for me.
Thank you, Lauren. Assuming that it's around $10. If it's like $100 or $50, like we'll have to see what the duration and terms are. But assuming it's within that boundary, I think that as a Scrum Master for the team, removing that block would help us accelerate. And why not? Let's test it out and see how much more do we get done. And plus, we are actually ramping up to actually launch our new website with the consulting and booking, which I think may be able to feed some of our streams of that in that direction, or even donations. Michael, you have the floor.
Yep, I'm going to give myself a 9. I think I put 9.5 in the email, but I think I'm going to stick with 9. I got a lot of stuff done. still need to get the rest of the list done. And 9.5 for the team. It is really quite impressive how much stuff continues to get done. People come, people go. They have other things happening in their life, and stuff just continues to happen. I do not have a process improvement. I will vote on whatever comes up. That's it for me.
Thank you, Michael.
Great.
Bruce, you're up.
Oh, I guess it's me. Yeah, I'm going to give myself a 9 this week. I accomplished an awful lot. I pretty much touched everything I wanted to, except for one thing, so I don't get myself a 10. But you know, not the end of the world. It's certainly an easy enough thing to fix. I will have to ask, is Joe on Slack at all? Do you know? Is that a good way to contact him?
No,
Okay.
he is on
We'll talk
Slack,
about that
but he
later.
doesn't have notifications set up for it, so it's
Okay.
hit or miss.
Good. All right. And for the team, definitely a 10. I mean, everybody's just cooking along, and you know, it's summertime, and there's lots of things that encroach on our lives, and yet here we all are. And you know, I heard a huge laundry list of things that got done last week, and it looks like more's on the way. So it's all very good, especially that new website is just awesome. So kudos. Certainly a good thing. Process improvement, yeah, I think the Trello is a good idea. I'll put my vote in for that.
Thank you, Bruce. And I believe, Chris, you are next. You have the floor.
Thank you. So, so I'm going to go with a 10 for me because I actually exceeded my own expectations on what was even going to be able to get done this week. I'm not taking anywhere close to all the credit for that. There are some amazing developers of WordPress plugins. There's also amazing Wikispeed team members who put up with me texting them in the middle of the night, bizarre thoughts and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to go with a 9 for the team. Just that, again, I agree with everyone. Everybody is doing an awesome job. I didn't see quite as much interaction in the forums or Slack this week. And what would probably get this to a 10, maybe, I think, as a proposed process improvement, is something that it may exist, but I have not seen it, is a visibly posted definition of done for Team Wikispeed, for generic, not just for making cards or building a website. So to me, what that means is that stories that enter the sprint backlog must be estimated and include a clear set of acceptance criteria, so that anyone on the team at any time can at least attempt to bring those things to done. And I actually have quite a bit for based on what we discussed for crosstalk, but I will definitely save that for crosstalk.
Thank you, Chris Wallace. And correct me if I'm wrong, so your process improvement suggestion is a set of criteria for our backlog items to be done, or a set of criteria for the definition of done for our backlog.
Yes, we need a definition of done. In my mind, what that means is some criteria for our sprint backlog, what gets pulled into a sprint, which, again, that criteria, in my mind, would be that the story needs to be estimated and it needs to have an acceptance criteria. I'll leave that up to the team what that really means, but we do need a visible definition of done so that we all know when we're done with something.
Nice. Adjusting that framework. Lauren?
I would tend to put the Trello. It's so quick to do. I mean, and we got such a unanimity on it that I would tend to just do that and mark it down as on the backlog. And I go with Chris's because the product owner. I was thinking of the product owner. Done is to do with the product owner. The product owner is kind of responsible for defining, and so that Chris's suggestion kind of expands the idea of our product owner aspect of Scrum. So that's my comment on it.
Thank you, Lauren, for the comment. And yes, the Trello item, let's go ahead and put that in there, get that done before the end of the stand-up HighFive. So it looks like it's, does anyone have any more questions regarding the proposed, which would be unanimous decision of the process improvement of having a set of criteria and estimated points for the definition of done? Okay, it's unanimous. That wraps up our retrospective, and it's moving us forward to crosstalk. Anyone? Anything right now? Chris, I see your hand.
I just want to quickly. So the block on the burn down chart for Trello, you do not have to go with the paid version of Trello. I don't think. Something that maybe we should research is if the paid version of Trello gives you access to all the paid power-ups, which I don't think it does. But this particular power-up, they call it, it's a plugin basically, for the burn down chart is $4.99 per user, but not per user for every user that is using Trello. It's basically your account, whatever account you use to log into Trello. It's $4.99. That may be monthly now. I don't remember. I believe it is monthly. Gives you access to the premium version of this plugin. So it would only be required for people who are interested in actually maintaining a burn down chart, which that's typically, the product owners are going to be doing that. So it is less than $10, but it's not. It's not. It doesn't add up for every user that we have. And again, we probably need to investigate that further to make sure I understand it properly.
I shall. And I'm sorry to correct you on that, though. It's, I think, the Scrum Master's role to make sure that the work is visible.
You're correct. You're correct. I was looking at it from a product backlog burn down, not a sprint backlog burn down. But no, again, so I should have said product owners and Scrum Master.
Yeah, which doesn't help me, but I mean, it's just like, yeah. Sounds good. Very good. We'll put that in the backlog on the very top item to clear us out. That would be great. And I guess we'll have to figure out how to test out that once we get it, and then I could try it on my Trello, and then from there see what it puts out to show us some type of burn down, and I'll be able to do this same screen recording that I'm doing to actually demo that. So sounds good. Any other topics? I think maybe Lauren, you had a different topic, or is it Bruce?
Yeah, no, I got a couple.
Okay.
One of them was the purpose statement, and I don't know if you want to do that on recording with the group or after. It's sort of picky and boring, so I'll put that off. Right, first of all, I wanted to ask the group if I don't know if this is exactly relevant. I participated in the citizen science thing that I didn't actually buy the unit, but there's a guy who teaches in a place called Kamloops, which Kamloops today, it's in the interior of BC, and it has the record for the highest smoke pollution anywhere recorded in the city as of today. It's like there's one chart that's it's 1 to 10 and it's a 40 on that chart. There's another one is the city is 50 and it's at 500. It's been at 500. So anyway, this is a citizen science thing that somebody set up here, and it kind of just sat there. So on this little island, there's like 6 monitors, and nearby there's 3 or 4 more. And then that's scattered across North America, there's more. Well, there's a concentration in LA. Anyway, so this fires came along, and it's like you can read it to see if you should go outside because it's a particular size of particulate monitor. So it's better than the pollution monitor, which is an overall gases and particulate. But for smoke from a fire, it's better. Send the thing out to the team. Just send out the link so you could look at it. It's a map of where I live, but then you can zoom out to North America, and you can also see, because right now it's just starting, so it's a little bit like Weather Underground. I don't know if you know Weather Underground has a weather station you can buy for dollars, and then you're part of their network. So Weather Underground is a weather reporting system, and it's a little bit like that. So if people don't think it's too off topic, I think it's kind of what we're working for in terms in the climate and everything else. So if nobody objects, I'll post the link.
Hey, Lauren, I love the weather system thing. So I haven't recently been doing much ham radio, but when I was really into it, of course, I would follow the Skywarn, I guess that's whatever you would call them, and a lot of people had these weather systems at their house, and they give their location and they give the stats of their house every few minutes in sort of a control or a managed environment. And when I was doing that, I could predict when a storm was going to hit my house down to about 30 seconds. I mean, when you're hearing it, this person saying it's hitting them now, and this is the stats, and this person says it's hitting them now, and this is the stats, and I'd be like, well, it should be here right now, and usually about 15 seconds later, there it is. So yeah, I love those things. I also just wanted to say that there's probably further discussion needs to be on this, but I've always thought that Wikispeed's mission statement was to change the world for the better. I understand that for nonprofit status, that may need to be expanded a little bit, but to me, that's sort of been our purpose or mission statement the whole time.
Yeah, we have a purpose statement. They have some examples, and that's what got me going. I was looking through the information package, the gigantic, poorly organized information package for the 501c, and there was some examples of a mission. It's not a mission statement. You're in the corporation formation. There has to be a purpose, a dissolution. And one other thing, what happens when you dissolve? There's like 3 elements you have to have, and one of them is purpose, and the purpose must be an exempt purpose. So it fits into categories, and we ran into this on the trademark. They said, "Are you on the trademark?" They said, "Are you an organization that's?" And they haven't fit these codes, and you had to fit one of the codes. But at the patent office, they assigned us an attorney, and he basically said, kind of looks like this, so if you put this one down and write this down, it should be good. I don't know exactly how it's going to shake down. There's like 8 possible exempt purposes, some of which are slam dunks you don't really need to do, like a church, to do an application. It looks like we're scientific and education. I don't know if you have to actually say that. And in fact, rather than being broad, you have to go. So you have to define what you do in a kind of a restrictive way for that purpose. So I don't know exactly how it's all going to shake out. My tendency with the IRS and INS and other government bureaucracies kind of throw it on the wall and see if it sticks. Go from there. So, yeah. So that's kind of my thought on that. And so, given that it is kind of a nuisance and it is kind of, the website, kind of one of the requirements, you have to have a public statement posted somewhere that people can see it. So it's perfect. And the points on the website are really good, and they align really well with some of the stuff. So I just kind of put it out there, and I think I am going to kind of draft something for that part, because that seemed to be one of the places where they had examples of good examples and bad examples. Like being vague was bad, and not specifying exactly what you do and don't. In some cases, what you don't do, but exactly it's redundant with a lot of the questions in the questionnaire. Some of the things. So it's really. I don't know. I honestly don't know exactly how it's going to go, and I just think the idea is to be prepared if there's any questions, if they ask for more documents or something like that. So that's my say on that. So I may write something that's a restatement, but it has some of those elements ready to go. But I probably want to talk to you, William, after. There's one thing I wanted to. That's kind of more, so after the others have dropped off.
Hey, Lauren, I would also request that in this vein, when you're contacting Joe and William about these things, if you wouldn't mind CCing me on these emails, because I actually have worked with a lot of nonprofits in the past, and I'm always interested in what works and what doesn't in the nonprofit sector.
No.
So whether or not I have time to jump in, I would like to follow it.
I suggest you stay on.
Yeah, and also in email communications, if you wouldn't mind CCing me.
I'll copy you. Yeah, actually, the other Michael Haas, is it?
Hasi? Hasi?
He had a request for me to give him tips because he was about to embark on the same process for something else. So I sent him a few things about the gotchas that are there.
So Lauren,
Yep.
if you can put down, in addition to what you were planning to submit, any of the supporting emails or the supporting snippets from the website that make you think that this is what we should put there. I don't actually know enough about what you're doing to comment. Background material that you use to say, yeah, this is what I think. Probably offer an opinion.
Yeah. Okay. So like we sent it in last week, and so but I'm just anticipating that maybe requests for more information or something like that.
Oh, I thought you had to do the verbiage. I thought if you're already done the verbiage, you must have.
Yeah. Actually, then it's I don't know if you did you get those get those notifications of commit?
I did, but I did get the notifications.
Pardon?
I did get the notifications, but I didn't unfortunately go there and look at what should change.
Yeah. So I did. There is a bunch of things that you have to specify. So we just picked the first pages off two of the websites, the back and the statement. There's a kind of mission. So we printed those, and there was also a whole page of additional information where there's a yes answer. They say specify half of that additional information that was also printed, and you can see that on the last commit. If you have that, or I can resend it to you.
I can go find it. I forgot that you were putting it on Git. Sorry. Never mind.
It's okay. And there's the document you want is the docx. The docx with the additional, the starting point anyway. And also the for everybody the articles of incorporation, handwritten, very short, are there. I think I put those up. I put as much as I could. The only thing I didn't put was the employer ID number. There was one document with the employer ID number.
I wrote that in. I mean, I think I wrote it, all of it in eventually. I wrote it in the top corner and also on, I think, one of the first pages. So
Yeah, it's just one spot where you need to put it in. Yeah, so, but then there was one document that had it on somewhere, so I left that one off. It was the, I think it was the thing from the accountant, or one of the, so almost everything is there. The whole package.
Okay,
Well-
Lauren, I will take a peek. I don't know that I'll have any comment, but I'll look anyway.
Yeah, so it looked like it looked like they ask about the thing and they say, is it publicly available? And so I did both. I gave them we gave them the URL, and we gave them the first page, a print to the first page off of a couple of the web pages. And those they were quite concerned about the what do you do with patents and or property you've got? So all the stuff about open source and everything, and the sharing and everything else. And in fact, that's what we do really well in terms of what they say. It should be in the public interest. One of the things for if you want to get into, I don't know if you want to get into it's yeah. So I can describe the details that I was sending William about, and I'll copy into Chris and Michael if anybody wants to talk about it. But I'll wait and see if anybody wants to talk about it. Probably take about 5 minutes to go through it.
Lauren, did you have to choose a GPL license?
I couldn't find it on the website. Joe pointed it to me before, and I asked to get it pointed to it again. So I just said a Creative Commons license. I didn't specify it, and I got a feeling that that's specific enough. But
Okay.
if they want it, that's fine. But I am interested in getting the specific one. I had it at one point, and I don't have it now. It's some share and share alike or whatever the one is. Joe said the logo was on. There's a in the page, and it links to the Creative Commons license.
Oh, okay. Maybe
And-
that's different. At one point, we had just said that we're using the same one as Open Source Ecology because that's where the plans for the SGT01 were posted.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's where we got it from. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I can look that up, just so I have it at hand and kind of put a note on the package. So, okay.
sounds good.
But
And
anyway, that aligns really well with one of the categories, and like I said, I can talk about it more if anybody wants.
Bruce, I think you had something earlier you wanted to discuss.
Well, I'm kind of disappointed that we haven't decided we're a religion. That's a lot of money in that, So, yeah, what I wanted to ask about was what's the best way to contact Joe these days? And, if I don't get a response, is there a secondary, or should I, keep my optionality open?
I'm muted. Good question.
Do you have
His
a phone number?
I'm not sure I do.
Wait till the recording stops.
Yeah, William, do you want to check with Joe and see if at one point it was shareable? I don't know if it still is. I would have to dig through some emails to find it, so I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
yeah, Bruce.
He's busy, and calling him up might not be appropriate. I'd like to make it a asynchronous kind of communication if I can. So that's why I'm thinking Slack. But I have some kind of email for him. I don't know if it's the right one. Is there one you use?
I think it's the Joe Justice 0 at Gmail. Is that right? Yeah, I'm recording right now, so I don't want to pull up all that information because then it'll be on YouTube. But yeah, connect with me offline, and we'll go from there.
Okay, we can do it on Slack. All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then Lauren or Michael, anyone else before Lauren wants to spend the 5 minutes on more of the 501? I think it's the 501.
Yeah, right. And anyone can join as long as you don't mind being bored.
I don't think it's going to be boring.
Well, I'm going to drop off because it's about 10 o'clock here. So.
Oh yeah.
Do you have about 1 more minute, Bruce?
Yep.
Just because I had a couple of.
Sure.
I have a little list of loose ends to type here.
Oh, Chris, go for it.
So, just things that had come up during the call. First off, this is just sort of commentary. I also have a major garage cleanup that I have to do like this week or next week, so I totally feel your pain on that. I also, on the Wikispeed consulting side, I have a text message from Joe that explains the criteria for being a Scrum coach for Wikispeed consulting. I made a note here. I will pull that up and get it to you so that maybe that'll give you a little guidance on what you're trying to do there. And if you need to drop off right now, I think those were the 2 things I had for you. Also, before we jump into the 501, I always get this out of 3C, C3. I always get it wrong. Lauren, I wanted to thank you. I think it was last week, you had shared a link to an online course about points estimation. I just wanted to thank you for that because I think I might actually take that opportunity because it's always been a little bit of a challenge for me. And the last thing I have to say before we dive into anything else is that Home Depot, I've always had good experiences with, but they use third-party vendors. So that may be where you're running into issues because if they get complaints about the person or the group of people that are taking care of the call, they will no longer have the opportunity to work for Home Depot. But unfortunately, that sometimes makes you spend a lot of extra time waiting to find out that person is not going to be working for Home Depot any longer. Wraps it up.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night, Bruce. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Good seeing you. All right, Lauren, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing is have we or are we about to issue any tax receipts?
Not that I know of.
Yeah. So Joe runs into people who want to give them money, foundations and things,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's where it comes up. So I already copied him in on the email, so I think that's good. Is the recording on?
Should we stop now? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me finish that up first. Give me 1 moment, folks.
Okay.
That officially will conclude our stand-up